Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Let's continue with the second part of control structures. In part 1, we have looked at example code of using if statement and also the condition. We have the equal to operator. In this part, we will learn about equality operators, logical Boolean operators, and examples on how to use them. We will also learn about if-else statements, where here we will deal with what happens when the condition becomes false. Boolean expressions. A condition often uses one of Java's equality operators or relational operators, which all return Boolean results. We have seen the equal to that we use in the condition by writing double equal sign. Let's look at each of these. The first one is the double equal symbols, that means equal to. It can compare numbers or expressions. Say that we have int number equal to 5, system.out.println number equal to 5. What do you think the output will be? When we write number equal to 5, we are writing a logical expression. Logical expression has a value either true or false. If we run this code, it will display true because we are comparing the value 5 with 5. Next, we have exclamation mark and equal, which means not equal to. Similar code as before, we would write number not equal to 5. It will display false because number is equal to 5. We have less than or greater than. Similar code as before, we would write number less than 5 or number larger than 5. It will display false in both cases because number is not less than 5 and it is also not larger than 5. We also have less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. If we do number less than or equal to 5, it will display true because it has two options. Either the number is smaller than the value that it is being compared to, or it has exactly the same value. In this example, variable number has the value of 5, which is exactly the same as the compared number. So that's why it is true. Similar logic for greater than or equal to. Let's look at this example code where we use the operator not equal. We have a class called count and the main method. In the main method, we declared and initialized two variables of type double that we call as y and x. Y has the value of 15.0 and x is 25.0. We then want to check whether x and y have the same value or not. We can use the if statement to do it. The condition that we could have is if we write if y not equal to x, meaning that the value of y is not the same as x, this will give us the value true. If the value of y is the same as x, this condition becomes false. Remember that the condition can either be true or false. When the condition is true, it will execute the statement and display result y not equal to x. If we run this code, it will display result y not equal to x because the condition is true. Say that we change the value of x from 25.0 to 15.0. What do you think will happen? When we run the code, getting to the if, it checks 15 not equal to 15, and that will give us false. So, since the condition is false, it will not execute result y not equal to x. It skips it and ends the program, so nothing is displayed on the screen. In terms of the condition, based on what we know about equality operators, we can use any of those. For example, instead of using not equal, we can use equal to and not it at the end. As I showed here in green, if we do y equal to x, meaning that we are comparing 15 with 25, it will give us false because 15 is not the same as 25. Then we can have the not outside of y equal to x. That means we reverse the value of it. Y equal to x is false. Not false will give us the value true. So y not equal to x is exactly the same as y equal to x and then we not the result of it. This is just to show that you can use different kind of expression for your condition part. Going back to the if statement, what we have seen before, when we have our if statement, depending on the condition, if it is true, it will execute a statement. If the condition becomes false, it does nothing. Now, let's look at this code. We have int total larger than max, charge equal to total times max rate. And then we have system.out.println, the total is and the value of total. From this if statement, the first condition will be evaluated first. The value of total is either greater than the value of max or less or equal to max. If this condition is true, the assignment statement is executed. If it isn't, it will be skipped. The statement is charge equal to total times max rate. Either way, the call to print line will be executed next. What it meant by that is after we write the if statement and condition, only the first statement after it belongs to the if when it becomes true. If we have several statements, after the first one, the other statements belong to the method in the class. What should we do when we have several statements when the condition is true? We can group the statements into a block statement contained within braces or curly brackets. For example, if we have this code, if total larger than max, curly bracket, system.out.println error, and then we have our increment, error count plus plus, and then closing our curly bracket. When we have the curly bracket or braces, these two statements of system.out.println and increment error count plus plus will be executed when the condition is true, which is total should be larger than max. Say that we have declared and initialized the variables called amount and balance somewhere in our code. So here we have two different if statements. The first one we have if amount less than or equal to balance, and then we have our braces balance equal to balance minus amount, and the next line we have system.out.println account new balance balance, and then we have our closing braces. Do you think that this one is it the same as the second one, which we don't have the braces, but they still have similar statements? These two are not the same, because in the first one, when we have the braces, that means that the two statements, balance equal to balance minus amount and system.out.println account balance balance, that will only be executed when amount is less than or equal to balance. So the condition needs to be true for those statements to be executed. In the second one, we don't have the braces, so only balance equal to balance minus amount belongs to the if statement. Println will always be executed whether the condition is true or false because it is not part of the if condition. Let's look at these four blocks. Are they the same? Is the first one in yellow, is it the same as the one in blue? They are not the same because even though in blue, we aligned balance and println to be on the same alignment to the left, it does not mean anything. Remember that in Java, spaces normally has no special meaning. For example, when we write amount and then we have a space less than equal to and have a space balance, that is exactly if you write it without any space in between. It is only the matter of being able to read it much easily. Let's compare the last two in green and brown box. Are they the same? Yes, they are. As I said before, when we have the if and condition, the first statement is the statement that will be executed when the condition is true. The second statement does not belong to the if. So, if you prefer to have braces even for one statement, you can use it. It does not make any difference, only that it is clearer to you if you are confused about it. The blue and green box, even though we have the space, they are exactly the same thing. Logical operators. Expressions that use logical operators can form complex conditions. For example, if we have if income larger than minimum level and age less than 50, if those two are true, it will display system.out.println can apply loan. Here, we combine two conditions, which are income should be less than minimum level and also age should be less than 50. In your code, you can use as many conditions as you want. All logical operators have lower precedence than the relational operators, meaning that we will do the relational or equality operators first before the logical operators. Logical NOT has higher precedence than logical AND and logical OR. We are going to look at NOT, AND, and OR in the next slide. These are operators that enable you to combine logical expressions. The operators take only logical values as operands, and similarly, they produce Boolean results. We have NOT, AND, and also OR. The NOT operator. A logical expression can be described by a truth table that lists all possible combinations of values for the variables involved in the expression. By using NOT, it reverses the value of the logical expression. So if it's true, using NOT, it will become false. Same if it's false, using NOT, it will become true. Let's look at how we can use it when writing a code. Say that we declare and initialize our variable called x that is of type Boolean. Boolean has the value either true or false. Here we initialize it to true. When we do system.out.println not x, we reverse the value of our true to become false. So the output is false even though we define our variable x as true. AND operator is comparing two expressions and has these properties. If both expressions are true, it will result in true. If one of it is true, the result is false. And if both expressions are false, it will become false. So how can we use the operator AND in our code? A very simple example is by comparing two expressions of numbers. We wrote system.out.println and within it we have two expressions that use the relational operators. The first one is 3 larger than 1 and the second one is 3 equal to 0. So 3 larger than 1 will give us the value true. 3 equal to 0 will give us the value false. Using the AND, we are basically comparing true and false, which will give us false. So, when we run this code, false will be displayed on the output. You can try and use other values to check what it displays, whether true or false, when your expressions contain true or false. Let's look at OR operator. In AND, both has to be the same so that the result will be the same, either both true or both needs to be false. In OR, if at least one of the expression is true, the output is true, otherwise it is false. Let's look at the similar example as before, but this time we use OR operator. Say that we have 3 larger than 1, which is true, and also 3 equal to 0, which is false. So now we compare true or false, which will result in the value true. Going back to the precedence over the operators, highest in the list are not positive and negative operators. Relational operators have lower priority than arithmetic operators, followed by equal to and not equal, then only AND, OR, and lastly equal or the assignment operator. Even from the examples that we have seen previously, we did the relational operators first before AND and also OR operators. Let's look at another example. Say that we have Boolean x equal to -5 plus 10 larger than or equal to 0 and 7 modulus 2 equal to 1. Which will be evaluated first? We have parentheses, so we will do the one on the left. So we start off with minus 5 plus 10 first. Then we compare the value, is it larger or equal to 0, which gives it the value of true. N has the lower priority, so we will skip that first and do 7 modulus 2, which gives us the remainder of 1. We compare 1 with 1, so at that part it has the value of true. Now only we can do the comparison of true and true, which will give us the result of true. Then we give the value true to the variable called x. This code here shows another example of using the AND operator. So in this case, you will do amount less than or equal to 1000, whether true or false, then amount less than or equal to balance, whether that is true or false. Only after that you will do the AND of those Boolean values. As we have seen in the truth table, for AND operator, it only becomes true if both expressions or values are true. It will execute both statements within the braces if the condition is true. Now let's look at two-way selection where we have an else clause to an if statement to make it an if-else statement. The syntax is if condition, meaning that if this is true, it will execute statement 1. Else, meaning that if the condition is false, it will execute statement 2. Previously, we only do something when the condition is true and do nothing when the condition is false. Here, we can deal with both conditions, true and false. The main point of if-else is only one of the other will be executed, but not both. The flowchart is similar to before, only that we have a statement at the false part. We still use the diamond shape for the condition. Statement here means any input, output, or process. We need to use the proper shape depending on what we want to have. This flowchart shows an example how you would draw it. It doesn't matter how you place it. You can look at this or like in the previous slide. Both means the same. Always remember to label true and false because it can be the other way around, meaning that you can have your left side to be false and your right side to be true. The flowchart can be represented in this code. So let's look at how to write the if-else. As mentioned previously, assume that we have declared an initialized variable amount, balance, and a constant overdraft penalty. In the if, the condition of amount less than equal to balance. If this is true, it will execute balance equal to balance minus amount. If the condition is false, it will execute balance equal to balance minus overdraft penalty. If-else is used to execute a statement or many statements when a condition is true or false. In the else, you don't have to write any condition. It is always if and then the condition and some statement. After that you will write your else, meaning that when the condition of your if becomes false. Similar as before, if we have several statements in the if or in the else, they must be contained within the braces, otherwise it will give us an error. For example, here we have if amount less than or equal to balance, braces, balance equal to balance minus amount, and the second statement we have our print line, and then we are closing the braces. So those block belongs to the if. Then we have our else, and then we have our braces, balance equal to balance minus overdraft penalty, and then we have the print line. And lastly, we close our braces. So the last two braces, that belongs to the else. We can use the Boolean operators as before for if-else. For example, we have if age larger or equal to 25 and age is less than or equal to 50. This means we want to have a range of 25 to 50. As if and else has one statement each, we don't need to write the braces, but this is totally fine if you prefer to have braces. To summarize, in this part we have looked at equality and relational operators, the logical operators not, and or, the if statement, and also the if-else statement.